Eddie Howe's Bournemouth back in the big time. There's lots of jostling still in the playoff places, and it's not a done deal at the bottom either.
Yes, they're getting a little nervous here at Underhill as Barnet head to Grimsby, whose Great Escape plans are gathering pace. A point and the Barnet boys will be safe. Defeat, and they may need to beat Rochdale here next Saturday to avoid joining Darlington in dropping to the conference.
And of course, Bradford currently playing in League Two. Not much for Bradford to play for going towards the end of the season, but Northampton, their opponents today, still have their eyes on a playoff place. You can see we've been joined by the Bradford manager, Peter Taylor. And news hot off the press, Peter, in the Telegraph and Argus here is that you've signed a new deal here for a year.
Done deal.
What's the one-year plan then?
Oh, well, the plan is to try and get at least playoffs and trying to have a very, very good season. And I think people know the size of Bradford City, and you know, we should be higher than League Two. But it's a tough division to get out of.
Now, it's a one-year deal. Is that your choice, or of the club said only 1 year?
No, that's what the club offered. I'm very comfortable with that because, you know, it's a very, very important season for us. And, you know, when we look to try and sign the players, I think they're going to be told how important it is. You know, for a lot of clubs it's important, but even more for Bradford, we need to try and get out of the division, and so then we can kick on again.
When you're lying in the Taylor bed at night, sort of having a dream about what could happen here, how far do you really think this club can realistically go? Because there have been some great days in the past. We've just been talking to Stuart about them. Yeah,
well, it's a massive football club, and you drive around the centre, and it really is it's massive, and I just see the potential there, and that's why I've really enjoyed my 3 months here. And so I think it can go up another couple of divisions at least, and who knows after that. But of course, that's a very, very easy thing to say and a very difficult thing to do.
So for Peter, it's very much about next season, but Northampton, as we said today, and their boss, Ian Sampson, very concerned that they can steal a playoff place in League Two. Now, to one of Peter's players now, a man called Sesh Raymond, your captain as well, who has a huge role in the community here, getting the Asian community involved at Bradford City. Next week, he launches his football foundation as well, and he's very much a role model in these parts, and Damien Johnson has been to meet him.
Bradford City Football Club lies at the heart of one of the country's most diverse areas. The Asian community makes up more than a quarter of the city's population. And this season the team's been led by one of the game's modern trailblazers, Sesh Raymond. He's one of just 5 Asian players in the game's top 4 tiers and the first to start a game in the Premier League.
I've made a lot of sacrifices to get to that point. You know, I've got 4 sisters. They would often go about toys and all the things they wanted so I could get my boots and everything I needed to try and make it as a footballer. But, you know, to cross that white line at Anfield, it was such a great feeling.
Why so few Asian players? Have you come to any conclusions in your time in the game as to why that might be?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard all the common stereotypes from an early age: you're not strong enough, scared of the weather, wrong diet, assumption that you like cricket more. If you look back into history, you know, over in the 70s and 80s, there were very few black players, but it took 1 or 2 to come through and break the mould and change the mindsets of a lot of people.
Since arriving, Bradford City's captain's undoubtedly made an impact on the pitch with his solid displays in defence and the odd goal. He's also taken on a key leadership role off the pitch too, in the local community.
A friend of mine said, oh, we've got a Pakistan national and he's the captain of Bradford City and he's a young Asian lad like ourselves, we have to go down. Subsequently, we now are engaged with Bradford City on a long-term basis. Considering we're neighbours, we finally got to meet after 20 years.
Your business has been on the doorstep of Bradford City for years, but you never went to a game. What changed for you?
Zesh introduced me to the club, which I've never been inside. Met the chairman, met all the directors there, and then they were telling me about the scheme they had, and then become the first Asian associate director for the club.
Walking the streets around the ground, it's hard to believe that less than 10 years ago, this area experienced some of the worst race riots the country's ever seen. Football had no bearing on those sad events, but through Zesh, it could help avoid a repeat.
I've seen firsthand how football can bring people and communities together, and the foundation aims to hopefully, you know, use the power of football as a vehicle and offer them, you know, an outlet from kids that are getting involved in crime or in trouble in the streets. Hopefully show them a pathway into the football industry.
What would happen if a Liverpool, a Chelsea and Arsenal got a player from an Asian background, a British-born Asian?
It doesn't bear thinking. The potential for, in every respect, is absolutely huge. It would have, the ramifications would probably be global.
If, you know, in 20, 15, 20 years' time, you know, I can help pave the way in some small way for the next generation, then you know, I take great pride in that.
Well, Peter, we know that lots of players do plenty of charity work, but Sesh is one of those who really is involved in the community, isn't he? I know you've not been here too long, but you've seen it yourself.
No, he's always doing lots of good work for the club, and you know, and it's very, very important these days. All the players do lots of work, but Zesh does seem to be doing more than others.
He's a very busy boy. We know what your job is for the next 12 months. Stuart, fans here at Bradford would love to know what you're up to, so how are you keeping busy these days?
Yeah, I'm actually leaving today. I'm going to do a bit of scouting for a team up north of the border. But I'd just like to say I'm delighted Peter signed a year, and I think he'll be the man that'll, you know, take Bradford back next season. OK, well, Bradford fans we've spoken to outside certainly seem to be agreeing with you as well. And Lee, you've been here with us for a couple of days in Bradford. Do you think, Peter seems to think they can the club get back to where they once were when Stuart was scoring that goal against your lot?
Well, I think certainly, we're not just saying it because Peter's standing here, but to have somebody like this at the helm is brilliant before him, and they've got a good fan base here, so I'm sure he can get the enthusiasm into the players. They can certainly get out of this league, and then again, you can only take one league at a time, but they've got the right man in place. And
Peter, you've been all over the place and you're in the managerial merry-go-round. Do you feel that you might be able to stay here for a while and sort of put some roots down?
Well, I hope so. As I say, it's a massive football club and it should be higher than League Two. And but there's got to be a lot of hard work to get us out of League Two, and hopefully we have the right squad to do it. OK,
it's been great to speak to you today. Peter, thanks for joining us. Stuart, thank you as well. And Lee, and we should say, by the way, look, 5,000 of these, you just about caught that one there, didn't you? 5,000 of these are being handed out today, worn by both sets of fans, the amber and the claret as well. And Mr McCall will be donning the old famous stripes as well next week and putting his boots on in this very pitch as he's gracing this turf to raise money for the Bradford Burns
he doesn't know
unit.
I'm playing with him.
Peter Taylor's playing as well. And before that, this Monday, Paul Ince, Les Ferdinand, Lee Sharp and Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank amongst those who will be playing in a memorial match for the former Lincoln boss Keith Alexander. And we should say a final thank you to everyone here at Bradford City for looking after us today, and those people who've taken place in the programme as well, because we've asked one or two to take a very tough trip down memory lane. And it will be an emotional atmosphere here at Valley Parade, particularly with this 5,000 claret and amber shirts as well. And whoever you speak to here, whether it's staff, whether it's former players or the fans, everyone is determined that those 56 people did not die in vain. And the challenge for the club now is trying to move on, but never forgetting what happened on May the 11th, 1985.
You do think about the people that died that day, who would love to have seen our journey since 1985 up to the Premier League and back down again.
Would it have happened being an all-seater stadium? Would it have happened? It wouldn't happen in Bradford's ground now.
Where the windows are breathing in the light, where the rooms are a collection of our lives. This is a place where I don't feel alone. This is a place that I call